Well, hey everybody, get ready for a new case on criminal motives behind the crime scene tape.
My name is Jay, and I co-host this podcast with my dad. My dad and I have both worked in law enforcement, and we also specialize in security. Join us as we dive into some of these real-life cases and find out what actually happens behind the scenes and what most people don't get to hear about.
It's going to be a good one, so let's jump right in.
Welcome to a special Sirens episode. I am here today with my husband, Rick Rollins.
Yo.
And I have a special guest. I'm going to have you introduce yourself.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I am Jared Metcalf. I am the co-host of Criminal Motives Behind the Crime Scene Tape. And I'm here by privilege on the Sirens Podcast.
Well, we are glad to have you. I wish that your other host could have joined us. Maybe we can have him next time.
Yeah. I'm here technically for work, so I got a free trip out here.
Yeah.
Ew. He's still back at home and doing his thing there.
But you were here and you were like, hey, you guys have a cool podcast. Can I come hang out? And I was like, right on.
It's a good idea.
That's what we're doing.
That's it. Yeah.
So basically what we are going to talk about today is you.
Great. Fantastic.
Mostly just you. Really put the spotlight on
Mostly
you.
just you.
Put the screws to you, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us, number one, can you tell us where you're from?
Sure.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm a pretty open book.
Okay.
So
Tell us where you're from and what you do.
So, I am from Florida in the Tampa area. I mean, technically born and raised in the county over, Polk County. And how far back do we want to go? Like,
Tell us the first time you ever got your heart broken. Too far.
Let's go back to, I don't know, the beginning of your career. Let's see.
Okay.
Where did you start?
okay,
there?
I can go from there. All right. So, growing up, my dad was a cop when I was a kid. So,
Okay.
I always knew, like,
He's a detective, right?
he was.
Okay.
Yep. He was with Polk County Sheriffs for a little while, and then he was with the detectives with them, and he was a detective for Sheriff Grady Judd when he was a lieutenant. And then he went on to Lake Wales, is where I really am from, but he went to join the police department there. He was like a school resource officer for a little while, then he got into corporate security. So growing up, I saw my dad as a cop, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. I base everything on that. Like, even my favorite Bible verse is John 15:13. Everything that I do, I was like, man, I just want to be a cop. I want to be a cop, Greater love has no one than this than he who lays down his life for his friend. Yeah. So
running in the blood. Yeah,
That's right.
I get that. My parents were both paramedics, and I married one. So
look at that.
well, I did EMT stuff there for a while, but I was like, that's not for me.
So,
for me. But yeah,
Funny
I get
enough,
it. Yeah.
I went to college because I didn't know what I was going to do. I was a senior in high school. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I started going to college for EMT, so I did my first
nice.
responders
Nice.
class. So I was a first responder first.
Represent.
Yeah. And then I was like, man, college sucks. I am not.
It's
I am
the
not made
worst.
for it.
It's
I don't
not
like
great. Yeah.
it. So I was like, what are my options? And so I had a buddy who was going in the military, and he was like, just join the military. So
It's dope. We have free guns.
yeah,
It's amazing.
it's amazing. I went to the one without the free guns. I went to the Air Force.
Womp womp.
Womp.
Oh, my
Nice.
How long you been sitting on that,
so
buddy?
long.
Oh,
so
man.
long.
God almighty.
Sorry.
So I actually tried the Navy first, and the Navy recruiters were terrible. They did not follow up. They didn't want any part of it. So I went to the Air Force recruiter, and he got me in. So going in, I told him, I was like, I want to be a cop. That's what I want to do. I want to be a cop in the Air Force. And he was just like, you don't want to do that. That's gonna.
Oh, that's the worst.
He was
you
like-
don't want to do that. That's the first time a recruiter said that to anyone ever.
Jeez.
You know?
You're like, I want to scoop up poop with my bare hands in the Navy. You're in. You start tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll get you there right away. You can skip boot camp if you want to go do that.
Well,
So he said no, that I didn't want to do that because he said all I'm going to do is check the gate, the IDs there, everybody's coming through. That's all I was going to do is just be a glorified security guard. And I was like, man, all right. And he was like, I say that because I see more potential in you. So you should go into Intel. Intel, you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck. And you get a top secret security clearance. You get to do all these cool things. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm in. You talked me into it. So I started going down that route. And in basic training, my class spot was taken by somebody who had a family emergency. So he had bumped down to a next class, which was my spot. And I didn't have that spot guaranteed. I kind of went into the Air Force on a contract saying, I'll do whatever you need, but this is my preference. And they were trying to give me that. But when that filled up, they had to put me in the next available thing, which was medical admin. That is a womp womp right there.
That is a womp womp.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
My whole heart goes over to you. Just hold on to it. God.
man, so thankfully,
how long did you do that for?
well, okay, so I went into it and I did my schooling and everything. I go to my first base, which that's another womp womp is I put all the overseas bases and they were like, you have to put something stateside. You have to put something in the United States, at least one thing. So I was like, fine, I'll put the state of Florida. That's all I know.
And
that's
that's
where I'm
where
from.
they sent you.
They sent me to Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida is where I went.
You can go anywhere in the world, but you're going to go 30 miles that way.
You're going to go 30 miles
almighty.
from where you lived.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
So
See the
yeah.
world to right over there.
Yeah.
That's as far as you can see.
So
Good night.
yeah, I got sent to Tampa and I did medical admin for so in all, I did 5 years.
Oh my god.
So my first year, I did medical records, which is an important job.
Yes.
Just not for me.
Yeah.
Not for someone that wanted to be a cop.
Yeah.
That was
Boy,
like,
that's a rehearsed answer.
Yeah.
It's an important job.
I'm not gonna
But I
lie.
hate it.
I worked in medical records for how long did I last?
Oh,
8 months, I
if
think.
that,
And
I was gonna say 6.
I'm
I thought it
done.
was 6
I'm
months.
done.
Remember
Yeah,
we got a
it's
couple paychecks and I came home one day on a Monday and you were on
I'm
the
out.
couch.
I'm out. It's so. It's not for everyone.
no, it was
Yeah.
so tedious.
Yeah.
Man. But I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned how to deal with people. I learned the importance of paperwork and how important it is to keep track of your
Yes.
paperwork.
Yeah.
So I also learned that anybody in the medical field is going to see your personal stuff,
Yeah.
including pictures,
Yeah.
which is horrible.
100%. How often a day do I say I did not sign up to see this many peckers?
Yeah.
How
Yes.
often a day do I
Yeah.
say that?
I know.
I did not sign up to see this many.
That's right.
I didn't sign up to see any, but
Yeah.
apparently,
That's what I said as a surgical assistant. I was like, I did not expect to see so many naked people.
it's like running through a hot dog farm. It's nuts.
Yeah. I just remember signing that contract saying, can't wait to see how many dicks I get to see.
Yeah.
You know?
My favorite is dicks, so that's
just
that's
all
all,
over
I'm
the
here
place.
for.
Yeah,
really.
that's it. That's all I'm doing this for.
You got a bunch of dicks in there you need checked out? I'm your guy.
I am your man.
Man. Oh, gosh. So thankfully, I only had to do that for a year. And then I got to choose to go to a different route in the medical admin field. So I went IT and I started working IT and I got really good at it. And I came to a point where I had a crossroads. I had the opportunity to jump in with the Office of Special Investigations, which is pretty much what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
sounds
okay, that's like a detective. Like I can skip being the street cop and go straight to being the detective. It was either that or I did communications for the White House.
That's kind of cool too, though.
I was getting routed both ways. I was getting recruited for both, and I was like, man, I really just don't know. So I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and I eventually went to the Office of Special Investigations, and that is how I got my career started. I did that on active duty for 3 years, and now I've been in the reserves doing the same job for 3 more years.
So let's talk about what you do in there.
Classified.
Yeah,
Classified.
just-
I 100% expected
Everything
him to
is
say that.
classified.
It's classified. Can't talk about
Yeah.
Some of it can be classified.
it. Hey, there you go.
So you are right.
See?
For the most part, I explain it this way. Of course, I always say, like, if anybody's ever seen the show NCIS, I'm always like, yeah, we're kind of like that, but we don't solve murders in 40 minutes and we don't shoot somebody every day.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, it's not part of the job. It's not part of the job in NCIS too. That's Hollywood. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
it's mainly just felony crimes. So
The big stuff.
right. So Office of Special Investigations handles the felonies, while the security forces, which is like the military police for the
Yeah.
Air Force, they have their own investigations and they handle the misdemeanors and like the military law. Like, I don't want to say small time stuff. It's just stuff that has less sentencing and less consequence
I
to it.
gotcha.
So we handle the felonies, and that's half of what we do is the law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and then the other half is the intelligence agency where we are collecting intelligence, doing counter intel ops. And
That sounds pretty cool.
if I had to sum up our job overseas, when we deploy, our big thing is collecting intelligence, finding out who the bad guys are, putting that package together, and then giving it over to like the SEALs and all those guys to tell them like, hey, those guys are bad, go kill them.
Yeah.
That's essentially what we do. We point the finger and they do it.
It culminates to you holding a picture of somebody and just showing it to a bunch of attack dogs, and they disappear into the night.
And then I say, sick them. And then they go get them.
And
Yeah.
they murder the shit out of them.
So we're talking like anti-terrorism and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Are there any cases that you can talk about?
So generally when I talk about cases, I usually just do like a broad, like I don't mention names or where I was when I
Yeah.
did it or anything like that. Just because, I'm not trying to put anybody on blast.
And this is kind of the stuff that you talk about on your podcast.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So do you guys, I know that you guys are just getting started. You have 4 or 5 episodes
Yep.
out now.
We have 5, 6 one will launch on Tuesday.
And it is Criminal Motives. You can find it wherever you stream your podcast. You and your father, who does this with you, Detective. He goes by just Detective Earl, I think,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Detective Earl. That's his thing. I'm sure if somebody really wanted to find out, they could find out his name. But
How thick is that Florida accent on him? Does he dress it up a little bit? Come on. Dish it right now.
Listen, I've listened.
I heard it.
It's-
I want to know how much of it's real.
It's
Your
pretty
pops
nice.
talks like that.
Oh, that is 100%.
Is that 100%? That's your dad?
him. That's
That's
him.
amazing. I thought he was dressing it up a little. I kind of hoped in my heart.
No.
I was listening. I was like, I don't know that this guy's not from here. You can't. I mean, he could be
I know.
from Florida to California. This guy could be from
Yeah.
anywhere across the South. I cannot
Yeah.
pin his accent down. It's so thick and love it so much.
Listen, I was destined to be like a hillbilly because my dad is from Kentucky, my mom is from West Virginia. I had no chance
You
of
didn't.
not. And I was born in Florida.
I don't know how I can understand you. That's amazing.
I think I've changed it over the years. I will say, like, when I'm either if I'm like mad or if like I'm like focused or something,
2
like
beers deep.
something will happen. Yeah, a couple beers deep, that'll probably come out. But like one time I was clean behind the couch, and of course when you pick up the couch, there's gonna be like crumbs.
It's
and
a
stuff.
nightmare. Yep.
Yeah,
It's a war zone.
So the dog is in there like getting stuff, and I'm like trying to put the couch back down, and she wouldn't get out of the way. I'm like, get on out of here! And I was just like. I actually didn't even realize it, and my wife was like, "What? You never said that." I was like, "Oh, that must be." I don't know where that came from.
Oh,
You know, I feel like maybe we can just understand each other and know and the listeners
that's
just
what's
hear
true.
a bunch of this coming out the birthday.
God, I hope that's what's
That's
true.
all
I
they
hope
hear.
There's 10,000 people listening to this, and nobody knows what's
Only
going
Southerners can understand this podcast.
Everybody listening is gonna be like, "What did he say to his dog?"
on. You put, like, it has, like, the printed subtitle thing on
Yeah,
your phone that
yeah.
translates
Yes.
it for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to have that.
The
on the
entire podcast.
Motor Ol is another one.
Ol.
My
Yep.
Yeah,
wife is
Ol.
like, okay. See, I'm glad you guys say it. So
show. No.
Ol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I hope my
It's-
wife listens to this episode because
You got a little
It's
old.
prominent here in
she
Oklahoma.
constantly she says, it sounds like your brain just dies when you say that word. Like you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go put some motor, and like your brain just dies. I'm like, you stop, you leave me alone. That's my heritage.
911. My husband's having a stroke.
Where is she from? What state is she from?
Technically born in the Panhandle of Florida, which is
Okay.
South Alabama.
Okay.
And
You said that like it's not better. It's not better at all.
you know, and she grew up a little bit in Utah.
So she got to get away from it for a while to really hear it come out sometimes.
Well, listen, when you and I first got together,
Oh, mine was bad. It was,
buddy,
It was.
this is
real
going to
bad.
sound a little sexy, but a southern accent, if it's really thick, it's mostly tongue.
That's disgusting.
The lips almost never touch. She don't call around back behind. I mean, it is
No.
thick that you never touch your lips.
That sounds like a horrible Stephen King novel.
Hers was
We're like,
so
don't
bad.
don't go on down that road right there.
Want to go on up there.
Nobody ever turns from that road.
That's 100. I swear to God, that's what she sounded like. It was cute though.
There's-
It was cute.
I-
I liked it.
Oh,
I
you know what?
fixed it,
She's
so
gonna get
it's
mad
fine.
if I don't mention this. Her family, her dad is from England.
Oh, well,
Her
that's
dad
cool.
speaks in an English accent still.
Ooh, okay. That's prominent.
How much does it catch you off guard when he does it?
Not anymore. At first, I was just like, okay, sure. And then she called him, and I was just like, okay.
Is your dad with me right now? Babe,
Like,
is your dad with me?
are you serious? Really from England? So like, I could understand him, but his parents, who have since passed away, but his parents, they had a thick accent. Like,
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't. And there were, when I first met them, the first couple times, like they said something, I was just like, I'd have to look at my wife, like, what'd they say?
It's like I need to become a lip reader.
Shake their hand, say goodbye, get in the car, look at your wife, and go. So how did that go? Because I
Yeah.
do not know.
No
what
idea. No idea what happened in there.
They'd say something, I'd say, go on out here. I don't know. Like, it's,
I did. What? What? You would?
So, speaking of all these different states, like
Yeah.
what states have you got to work in so far? Like even if it was just a case.
yeah, good question. So, obviously, Florida.
A lot going on there, buddy. They need you.
Yeah.
Florida.
It's something else. So I've worked in Florida. I've worked in Alabama. Obviously, I've worked in Oklahoma because I'm here now.
It's true.
I spent some time up in Idaho before. I've spent some time in Georgia. And
You just kind of get to go everywhere, don't you?
yeah. So like as a reservist, you definitely go everywhere. Like
That's
you just
cool.
go wherever I go everywhere the Air Force needs me.
Yeah.
Wherever that envelope says, somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, here's your next spot. And I'm like,
Welcome back. Good job. Get out.
Altus, Oklahoma. Where is that?
No, you have to send me to real places, sir. Sir.
This is fake. I can't go there.
Listen, I can tell you, it's going to break your heart. Altus is very real.
Oh yeah.
And there's
Unfortunately.
nothing there.
Oh yeah.
All three people that live there are asleep right now, so they're not listening to this. It's fine. I'm sorry if you live in Altus. You listen to this podcast. I'm sorry. It's aggressive. I'm sorry. I love Altus. Great
So,
town.
how long do you usually get to stay in these places? Just depending on.
So yeah, it depends on. Most of the time, it's 2 weeks. So I do my 2-week annual training or annual tour is what they call it. So I do 2 weeks at a place, and then I have 12 training days that I can kind of do wherever I want.
Yeah.
And the training days are really just for like my own personal like computer-based trainings or like all these different things. Stateside, that's mainly where I've been, and then there's been some overseas assignments that I've done. So I've gone to Italy, I've gone to England.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's a couple other places that I've been to. It's a different experience. It is a different experience.
Listen,
but
in your defense, Florida is another world. So,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's its whole own
Yeah.
parallel dimension.
yeah, you can find anything there. Like you can find rednecks, you can find city folk, you can find yuppies, you can find old people everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
I'm actually working in Oklahoma. I'm at Altus.
So let's talk about some of the stuff that you talk about on your podcast. Like I say, if my listeners come listening to your podcast, what are they going to hear?
Detective Earl, he's had some pretty interesting cases working in corporate security, and also just because he has more years of experience than I do, he's going to have more stories. So he has a lot of interesting things that have happened throughout his career. So I think I've only talked about one of my cases so far. I have a couple episodes in the future that I'm going to be talking about more cases of mine, but he's talked about a lot of his corporate security stuff. But we have some people that we're going to line up that we're going to have guests soon.
Awesome.
So we're going to be talking to them, talking about their experience.
And people are like way more receptive to being on a podcast than you would think.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like,
I mean, you can mostly just be like, "Hey, you want to be on podcast?" And they're like, "Oh, hell's yeah, I'm there."
right. There's some people that are going to be like, well, let me look into it and I'll let you know. But
I've had one out of how many? I have like 20 guests so far, and just one was like, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I approached you, so you didn't even have to work to get me.
Yes,
here.
but also I was just like immediately was like, yes, that sounds awesome. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why would you not?
I'm having a blast. I'm just happy to be part of the team.
It's a blasty blast.
It's this or I have to go do dishes. So I'm happy to be, I couldn't be happier to be a part of it.
I know you wanted to hear about like some of the cases I've
Yeah.
worked. And
you don't have to get in like specifics
Sure,
or whatever.
sure.
Like,
Because
you know.
if we start war story swapping, this will be a 72-hour podcast.
Yeah,
you know
this is
what I mean?
gonna be forever.
We'll be here for all day. How many missing persons have you dealt with?
Oh yeah, do you do
missing
that?
persons.
Do you do that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens. People do go AWOL and they get caught eventually. There are some, I'm pretty sure OSI has their own, on their website, they have some open, like, missing people that have gone AWOL or something like that. So here's a fun story. I had very minimal involvement in this, but I just happened to be there when this was happening. And so it was at MacDill. There, in 1970 something, there was, oddly enough, an OSI agent who requested to leave the military early. And he wanted to do this because he was dating this girl who was still technically married to someone, but she was being abused. And so she, like, wanted to leave. She wanted to get out of there. And he felt it was his, like, duty to, like, get him out, or get her out of that situation. So he requested early. He only had, like, 3 months left on his military contract, and then he could get out. And he said he asked to be released early. They said no. He crafted fake identification, and then he left. He fled. And
What?
he moved to, I want to say it was like Maryland or Maine, or it was somewhere where he didn't get a lot of attention.
And there's only like 3 months left. Just wait.
Why couldn't you just go on R&R, go down there and grab her and move her up here and put her in a hotel for 3 months?
Brother.
I don't know.
Okay, no, we're going to the wrong part of it. So that part's already been done. That's done.
So he hid under this fake name for years. And then 2017, 2018, we have a cold case unit at OSI headquarters. And every once in a while, you know, they're constantly working on cases, but every once in a while they get a hot lead on something. So they looked into this cold case of an AWOL OSI agent, and they started running some checks and everything, and come to find out he was actually in Florida, and they tracked him down. And
That's not good.
So we got the information sent to us by the cold case unit, and one of my buddies, Taylor, he ran up to this city that was like 3 hours north of Tampa, 3 hours north of MacDill. Went up there, knocked on the door, and he said, "Hey, are you?" I don't even remember the dude's name, but he's just like, "Hey, are you this guy?" And he was just like, Yes, I am." And he's like, "You know why I'm here?" And he's like, "I've been expecting you for 40 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 42 years
Yeah.
from 76 to 18. That's nuts.
Gosh. So I guess I never realized, but there's like no like limit on how long you can, like, it's just always.
No.
You're just always on the
You
run.
break military law, they'll come dig your body up and cuff it. Like, they don't care.
There's his bones.
There was
we can
not
close the
a
case.
statute of limitations for
Yeah,
AWOL.
yeah, oh,
So
wow.
they
I didn't know that. I learned something new today.
Yeah, there you go. So they cuffed him up, brought him back to MacDill. I mean, this dude's like, he's old.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
70 something,
He's like
right?
78. He's old.
Gosh.
And so they didn't put him in confinement, but they put him in like a dormitory, like where our brand new airmen that just graduate from basic training go and live on base. They put him in there, and he served about 20 days before his trial. And the strangest thing to me was going to the courtroom. So I went to his trial, and just to see an old man in the blues uniform, like the dress uniform, as a staff sergeant, which is like, a little bit younger than I am. That's usually who wears a staff sergeant rank. And then he rises up, he can barely stand up, and he's in his full blues. And I'm like, man, this is wild. Like,
that's nuts.
That's insane.
And so the judge weighed out all the options, and he was like, I understand why you did it. You only had a little bit of time left. You've served 20 days confinement. Oh, also he had to be assigned to a unit. They had to put him back on active duty.
What?
Well, yeah. I mean, they got him back.
Yeah.
He's no longer AWOL.
I did not know they did that either.
Yes. So they put him on it. They put him on active duty. They assigned him to the finance unit, and he was in there sweeping floors for finance.
Oh my gosh.
In pure military fashion, if you don't have a job, you're gonna go clean something.
Grab a broom,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yep. You're gonna go mow that grass. You're gonna go paint those rocks. You're gonna do something.
That's
There's
insane.
always PT. There's always PT.
Always.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
the judge gave him like 30 days. So he only had like 8 more days left of confinement to do. So he spent 8 more days on base, and then he left, and he went, and now he's living his life in Florida.
That's so insane.
How crazy would it be to find out that like he left for that girl and she broke up with him like a month later?
Ooh, that would be so bad.
Before he was even out of the thing,
Yeah.
like, she was like, "I gotta go."
He'd probably just go right back, like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to."
Yeah, he probably would have come back if that happened. He'd be like, "All right, look, I know you're mad." But
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that makes me wonder if like maybe they got married, had some kids. He lived like this like passenger style life, and then the movie Passengers.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just. And then he walks off under the trees, and he's like, "Take
Got
me
arrested.
in, take me in. I lived my life."
He gets tackled and
Immediately
He's
just
78
hip tackled by some giant MP.
by
Boom.
some Derek Morgan that just takes him out.
yeah.
Poor guy.
Well,
That's
hey, that's
crazy.
wild though. I mean, first of all, not even considering the part that he left with 3 months left. That's wild all by itself.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a reason that I wouldn't just be like, "I need 2 days. I'll be right back." You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was just like, "I'll throw my life in the toilet for this." That part's wild all on its own.
Yep.
But the other part is seeing a 78-year-old man in a staff sergeant uniform
Yeah.
that can barely stand up. That's nuts to me.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And all rise for the judge, and he stood up barely, and man, I was
like
like, this
baggy,
is so
you know?
crazy.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah, and they're still married. They're still married.
That's
so
insane.
yeah, they're
Aw.
living their life. She's very dependent on him, so it
Worth
was kind
it.
of hard for him to be away, but
Yeah.
they made it work. So
Worth it.
yeah, I mean,
Worth it.
I don't know about worth it, but
Oh, you don't know.
but it was crazy. The news was all over it. They're all over it, and everybody in that town knew like that wasn't his name. Like the name he was going by was
Rusty
not his name.
Shackelford.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name was like whatever.
Hank Hill.
I'm sure if you looked up McDill deserter, you'd probably find him.
And are most of your missing persons just AWOL recovery?
Yeah, I mean, there aren't a huge and I'm not bashing the Army or anything, but the Army has had an influx of missing people in their
That's why I
Yeah.
asked.
right. So and it's gained some national media attention and stuff like that. So
Yeah, we did a whole episode over just Fort Hood alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of those missing people cases where they're missing for no reason.
Like truly missing.
Right.
Yeah.
Truly no idea where they're at. Yeah. Most people that flee, they're either like about to be put on trial or something like that. It's either they flee, they kill themselves, or they go to trial. And
Yeah.
and it's the sad truth. Like I hate it because it's like just go to trial, take your responsibility for
Yeah.
what you've done, and then just move on. Like make a change in your life and go be a better person.
You mess up, own it.
Yeah.
That is a fact. Oh, do you do murders? I don't know if you know this, but this is a murder podcast.
I have worked one murder. I've worked one homicide, and I felt I felt so bad for the kid. It wasn't like I've seen my fair share of dead bodies and stuff like that, and like you get desensitized to it, like you have, and but I felt bad because it was meaningless. So yeah.
Like absolutely no point behind it.
Ran my fair share of those where you're like, wait, what? Why?
Yeah,
that is
So
infuriating.
dumb.
I will
It's
be
dumb.
outside.
this meth junkie. And I say that because, like, that's just how he lived his life. He was a junkie.
Truth comes at you fast, buddy.
Yeah. So this meth head stole a truck from a construction company at the hotel he was living near. Like, I think he lived behind it or something like that. He stole their construction truck, went on a joyride, went to a friend's house, grabbed a gun.
He was high the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was driving again, and it's like late at night. He pulls up at this red light. Nobody else around except for the one car that's next to him. Just randomly points the gun out the window, shoots a National Guard airman.
What?
Come on.
Just random.
And didn't even aim. He just like pointed the gun out the window and just kind of shot because he's like in the driver's seat and the car was to the right of him.
Oh my
so he's on the
gosh.
left side of the vehicle. He just points out the window, shoots. Just happened to shoot the kid like back of the head and went through his jaw, and
Oh my gosh.
he tried to drive away. He's like driving down the road, and then you can kind of tell that he dies midway driving down the hill, because there's a gas station at the very bottom of the hill that had surveillance, and they watched. He was like going with the curves, and then all of a sudden he stopped going with the curves, and then he just ran into a light.
Oh, you can literally die for no reason.
I say that
I know.
all the time to you.
It's
all
just
the time.
like, God, just why?
You
Yeah.
could die for no reason.
This kid he was on orders. He was doing his training, and he was on his way to go see his girlfriend at the time, and he was on his way back to the unit, and
So
it just happened.
senseless. That's
Yeah.
so
So
senseless.
it was a very upsetting.
But you got the
homicide.
guy, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It didn't
You
take much.
got
The
him.
construction truck had GPS on it.
Oh my God.
So like it was like
What?
didn't even take that. I wasn't even there for most of that part because it was that state's like it was like a bureau that they had.
Yeah.
And they were investigating it, and they saw it like they learned about it, saw the GPS on the truck, went, got him, done deal.
Oh my God.
Charged him with murder. So
Good deal.
Good.
yeah.
Good.
And he was like, he had a string of history, so there was no way he was getting out of that one.
It never
Gee.
ceases to amaze me how stupid
I know.
criminals are.
I know.
It never ceases to amaze me. So when you deal with do you do a lot of contraband? Is it serious stuff or is it like little stuff? Like I brought.
Define
He's already
contraband.
said that he only deals with the big
Well,
stuff.
I know, but I'm talking about like okay. So
Felony
let's say
stuff.
like I can imagine in the military, a lot of weapons go missing. Air quotes.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it like, hey, I brought an AK-47 home that I wasn't supposed to have, or is it like, hey, I brought home a Nazi bar of gold that I'm not supposed to have? Like, I mean, like,
What?
yeah, like, I mean that's what I'm asking. Like, how far is the breadth on the stuff that you have to track down that's felonious contraband?
There's been some interesting things that people have stolen. I once ran a case where we were running the case for like, to be honest, I don't even remember what it was for. I think it was like for drugs or something like that. We're searching the guy's house. We go into the garage, and we see I want to say about a 15-foot missile laying in the garage.
What?
A missile?
Like,
What?
like
What did you just say to me?
a big, like, drop bombs, warheads on foreheads is what we say.
What?
Wow.
And it was right there in the garage.
Oh
and I
my
was
gosh.
like, yeah, hey, boss, come here.
You're going to want to see this.
If I'm going to get exploded here in a minute, you're going to be with me. So it's going to hit you anyway, so at least know what's coming.
That's most of it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Is that one where you notify like, hey, I need you to come in here right now. Like it's go
Like,
time.
you got to
go-
call
or
the
is it
bomb
like-
squad for that, right?
is it like,
So-
hey, can I borrow you for a minute?
We looked at it. We both like just stared at it for like a minute.
Like, that cannot be what we think that is,
And
right?
that's kind of
Maybe it's a replica.
That's the assumption we came to. We went up to it. It was the shell but it was hollowed out.
Okay.
It was used at that certain place that I was at. It was used as like a storage unit, but it's something that never leaves the military.
Yeah.
Never leaves the base, but somehow it was there. We seize it, obviously.
For obvious reasons.
I'm like, well, we have a search warrant for drugs. Let me call the judge and be like, hey, so can I add like missiles and bombs to it?
And the judge is like, I'm sorry, it's 3 a.m. What did you just say to me?
So we have Dodge Rams. We have these trucks, and we just put the missile right in the back of the truck.
Oh my god!
Poking out the back.
No, thank you. So like
just
it was
redneck as with a strap over it.
It was in the bed, and you could see the tail out the truck.
No question, that is a missile.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're clearly carrying like a giant bomb.
Oh man,
I love my security forces defenders. They do a great job, except for a select few. So this is one of those examples. We roll up to the base, and we're in our 2 trucks, and the one in front of me, he checks the ID. He goes on with the missile, and I roll up, and I'm like, do you have any questions? And he's just like, huh? And I was like, did you not just see what was in that truck? And he looks, and he's like, what is that? And I was like, we just carried a bomb on the base.
It's a missile, sir.
Just chill. Don't freak out. It's not live.
Oh my god!
Don't worry. You're doing a great job.
I'm sorry I even pointed it out to you.
Yeah. Sorry. You can go back inside and go to sleep.
Yeah, go back to sleep,
we'll just go. So we managed to bring a bomb
right onto a military
from the
base.
looks of it, right on the base.
Could've
and
been
I was
anybody.
just
In the back of a pickup truck. Just
to
hanging
see
out.
that driving down the road, I'd have been like, "What in the?"
Yeah, I bet you got
holy
tailgated
hell?
by 0 people the whole way there.
everybody diverted off the road.
Yeah.
So everybody's driving so nice. This is nice. It's good.
I felt like Bruce Almighty, where he just like splits the traffic with his fingers.
See, that's the answer. We could get people to get out from in front of my ambulances if we just tape a missile
Right on the
to
top.
the top of the ambulance.
That's
then they'll
it.
pull to the right.
That's
That's
it.
all I need.
Yeah.
I don't even need the whole road. I just want the far left lane. You guys just get over there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask about bombs, but we segued into it.
It was a great segue, yes.
So I got to ask, you said it was used for storage. What was in the missile?
Beer.
Oh, that's so
What?
sad. I wanted it to be something so cool.
No.
Like Nazi gold.
Well, no. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Something cooler than fucking Coors Light. I mean,
It was in the garage in the middle of winter. It was used to store beer.
all right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty redneck for you.
Yeah.
So
If the drugs would have been in there, that would have just completed the
That's
whole
what I was
circuit.
going to say.
That
That's
would have
why I
been
asked. I wanted
Did
to know if it
you-
was like full of cocaine. That would have been awesome.
did you guys find the drugs? Did you get the drugs?
Yeah, they were on
Were
the
there
coffee
drugs?
table
He
next to
didn't-
another missile.
He only had like residual, little bit of like paraphernalia. He didn't have anything there.
Just a bunch on his
Did we
nose.
figure? Did we figure out where he acquired that? How he got it?
So the place that I was working at was a fighter squadron. There was a fighter squadron on the base. So
Okay.
it was
Gotcha.
common to have bombs and jets.
Gotcha.
Do you mean how did he, not like where he got it,
Like,
but
how the hell did he get it home?
he just
the same
told you,
way?
dude, the same way that they brought it in the base. That same guard was working. They drove
were-
right the past it.
He's just like Forrest Gump waving as he goes by.
Except it wasn't a Dodge Ram. It was like a Chevy Aveo. And it was sticking out the
Sticking
fucking
out the
back
window. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure we asked him.
Dumb
I mean,
criminals.
we went into the interview room and we're like, hey, you want to guess what I found at your house?
Oh my gosh.
We moved you from the nice room into the room with the one chair and the table with the chains on it. You want to guess why that is?
You tell me, terrorist.
Oh, but old Buford had an answer for it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. What is your most memorable, if you can talk about it, case so far?
And listen, we get that as responder family. Like, we're not
Yes.
asking the worst shit you've ever seen.
No,
We're talking about the one that
'cause
like
we know better.
that like made you feel great to do
Yes.
it. Like you were like, "Fuck yeah, I'm a
Like your
fucking hero."
best case. I have a really strict we don't ask what the worst case is you ever saw.
Sure. No, we know better than
because
that.
We know better.
Yeah, we know better than that.
We want to know what made you feel like a superhero.
That's the one I want to know about.
Yes.
The one that make you feel like I deserve a TV show made about me. Because I've ran that call before, where I was like, I'm the fucking best there is. I wake up in piss excellence. Like, that's the call that I want. I want to know about it.
Oh, man. So the most rewarding cases are any child sex crimes. So whether they are producing it or they're whatever it is, like anything that have to do with taking advantage of children.
Yeah.
Those are like my most rewarding cases. Like I always feel like, man, I did something good in the world
For
today.
sure. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for all the missing cases of beer and stupid drunk dudes fighting each other and all that stupid bullshit makes up for it.
Yes.
Because you fixed one person who really, truly couldn't defend themselves. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
And it could have been more. It
Yeah.
could have been way more.
Think of how many you stopped from getting to. Dude. That's
so
bravo.
So the one that I feel like I was like, man, I did really good. How I stopped a serial rapist.
Ooh,
My man,
yes.
you have
Yes.
my fucking full attention.
It's an exclusive. We'll call it that.
Exclusive. What?
I got a call about a case involving someone who he had went out one night and he was at the bar and people were already saying like he was really like rough and like just kind of just on the big macho man, like just kind of like asserting himself everywhere he went. And but we got a call and he's the detective that was working at the time, good buddy of mine, was just like, hey man, we got an Air Force guy. I guess he like got this girl drunk and then he raped her and then she went to get her stuff the next day and he pulled a gun on her just for trying to get her stuff back. And so I was like, all right, brother, I'll take it. No worries. So we start running it down. We get him in the room. He had actually been in trouble for this kind of thing before. So he lawyered up. He didn't talk to us. And so that's when we started talking to other people. We talked to the victim.
Right.
We just talked to the victim briefly just because that police department had jurisdiction because it happened off base.
Right.
So they talked to the victim first, and we got all the information from that. So we start talking to like just people, and then we come to find out he had a girlfriend. So we go to the girlfriend, and
That poor girl.
and we start talking to her. She had just found out a couple days before that like she just found out that all this happened, and so she we asked her like, hey, what happened? Like, what's going on? Did he tell you anything about it and stuff like that? So she's like, he said he was working late and I couldn't call him. I couldn't text him because he was just working and he didn't want to be bothered. And she said that same, like, he had been working, that whole like story basically had been told multiple times and throughout the relationship. So
Yeah. Like you do.
yeah.
Yeah.
One of the guys I was working with actually knew this guy and knew the girlfriend. So it was almost like, it's one of those things going into it. We're like, man, I don't know if by you being there, if this is going to make it awkward for her,
Yeah.
or if like this is going to help. So it ended up helping that he was there because he was just like, hey, look, you know me,
Yeah.
I'm just here to help. So thankfully she said she would open up if we were at her parents' house. So we drove to her parents' house, conducted the interview there, because her parents knew everything by that time. And so that's when she told us that he was abusive. He was like beating her up, and there was like multiple accounts of just like physical abuse. And so after talking to their friends, they were all like, yeah, we noticed that she had a lot of bruises and like she had a black eye one time, and we just kept asking like, what's going on? But she at the time she defended him. She if you want to call it Stockholm syndrome or whatever.
I was about to say Stockholm, brainwash, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and it happens. And I think the average is like 7 instances before they finally like leave or report it or something like that. So, so we start tracking down all these different leads. We start talking to all these different people. Come to find out, he raped somebody in college. He raped somebody at his last base.
Oh my gosh.
He raped somebody like in high school, but we couldn't like get that
Why
full
was he
information.
not in jail?
He was tried for a couple of them. He had went to court, and there was inconsistencies with the investigation that caused it to go through.
Of course.
Yeah.
See, and that just tells you as an investigator, you got to line this out. It's got to be perfect.
So we knew going into it, we were like, we have to do this right. Yeah. So we did everything we could, and we did it right. Finally got it all done, got it all wrapped up. I believe the county tried to prosecute him, and they were unsuccessful as well. And then the military got it, which is, it's such a... the UCMJ and the JAG Corps, they work so hard, and sometimes they don't get the exact outcome that we're all looking for.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get screwed out of stuff too. But this was a case where they won. They got him. He got put away, so he got put away for 30 years.
Ooh, yes.
Because they were able to get the ones prior at his last base and this one, and it was just, it all added up, and he got 30 years.
That's really
sweep.
awesome. After so many people couldn't catch him, lack of evidence or botched investigation or whatever it is, that's got to be really satisfying.
That'll make you shoulder check somebody in the hallway coming out of the courthouse. Just because. I'm the baddest motherfucker of all time.
Yeah, here I am.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
It was a huge collaborative effort from my guys that I worked with and myself, and it was good. It was really
awesome.
That was a good win, and the whole trial happened after I left that place that I was at, and I got a text from my old supervisor. He was just like, "Nice work, man! Look what we did."
Yes.
It makes me wonder how long it took deliberation to be guilty.
Seriously,
because it took me no time at all, and I didn't even hear every single fact. I was like, that guy's guilty.
You were sitting right there. He took the first part of it, and you were like, kill him immediately.
Put him to death.
Yeah. So it was just one of those things where he was just going to keep doing it until he couldn't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the reason he couldn't do it anymore, dude. That feels phenomenal.
And you are still you're still out there working, right?
Oh, yeah.
While you're doing this podcast.
Yep.
Your dad is the one, he's retired, right?
He is doing some corporate security here and there.
But from detective work.
Yeah, from law enforcement, he's all done. He'll tell you he's too fat and old. That's his words, not mine. But yeah,
I feel you, Detective Earl. I feel you. So yeah, if you guys want to check out, obviously this is what he's going to talk about on his podcast. If you guys want to check that out, it is Criminal Motives Behind the Crime Scene Tape. And you can find that streaming everywhere. Thank you so much for being here. This was a lot of fun.
This was great. I'm so glad we were able to do that. I mean, we've only been doing it for a little bit of time, but we love it.
Yeah.
And we haven't really even done much. So it's awesome.
I'll warn you right now. It is addictive. It's addictive.
I'm addicted.
Yeah.
I am an addict.
I am
Rick,
addicted.
and I have a problem.
The first step is admitting.
See, there you go. Now we can do it all we want.
Hey,
I don't know how
nailed
the
it.
steps work.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
I think that's how it goes. I admit it, and then I just keep doing it.
You just keep doing it forever.
Well, there you go. Another great case in the books. Be sure and tune in next week when we unpack a new one, and we hope you have a good week.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. If you haven't already, go subscribe to our show. And if you liked it, maybe go get a buddy or two to go subscribe to it as well. Give us a like, a comment, a rating, whatever it is that you're watching this on, and make sure to give us some feedback because we want to make sure that we're doing the absolute best we can for our audience. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Criminal Motives Behind the Crime Scene Tape.